Alright everybody, welcome in. This is my next deck video. It's going to be a Choral Orchestra Humans deck. You see a lot of Choral Orchestra humans, but this one's a little bit different than everybody else's because I use a lot more actions than other people use. I see other versions using up to 20, 25 units. I only use 15, and I use 15 actions. This deck has been a work in progress since last season. I built it day one of last season, and I further evolved it into what it is today, and I kind of perfected it towards the end of last season, or not perfected it, but I felt very comfortable with the build in the last couple days of last season, and I feel very, very comfortable with this build. I went from A5 to champion within 29 matches, 27 or 28 matches. I only lost once or twice in A, and in champion it's only lost 2 times so far, and it is have the normal problem of Choral Orchestra. Black can completely destroy this deck in a high roll. But yeah, we're gonna go over the deck, and then we're gonna have a couple games that I'm gonna show, and then at the very end of the video I'm gonna go over some opening hands. I put a poll out on Twitter and Reddit of what people wanted to see me do with the videos, and so I'm gonna add an overview of good starting hands for the deck. So let's take a look. I just call it the red green Hom, and Hom is just from Xenoblade. But what I'm gonna do from now on is I'm gonna go over kind of the new cards from the new sets. We all know what Chain of Fist does. It does 2, 3, or 4 damage depending on how many times you've used it. State of Nothingness is an attack buff. Liberating Slash is the damage plus healing, or protects you from brainwash, things like that. Inborn Power switches lanes with +1/+1, and after 2 memory you get the +1 mana. Agent's Memory, after 7 memory it's 7 damage to the face. Before that, or to a unit, before that it's 2. Cody at 4 memory is 4 damage to a random unit. So a new unit is Josh Stone. When played, if a friendly human unit is on the field, deals 2 damage to a random unit. I only run him at 2, but I did that because it is more damage on the field. Break shields, can kill a weaker unit, remove it. A alternative for him is Sheva, but there's not a lot of there's plenty of 5 MP units in this deck that you can run 2 Sheva instead of 2 Joshes, but I found more consistency out of running the 2 Joshes. BB Hood is another new card. She's a human and agility. When a friendly human unit is placed on the field, she gains 1 attack. So she's kind of like the aggro starter in this deck. She gets the deck rolling. She puts a lot of pressure early on in the game, and as you use Choral Orchestra, your units get cheaper. She gets buffer and buffer. Determined Hunter Lady is a human. She's a legendary. When played, if a demon unit is on the field, gain +2/+2. You'll most likely see demon units if you're playing against purple, or if you're playing against Jill, which it helps. I've only made that ability proc once or twice, but I use her for her secondary ability. When a friendly human unit is placed on the field, deal 4 pierce damage to a random enemy unit. So she's a damage dealer on the board. If you combine with Cody, that's 8 damage. With Josh, that's 6 damage. Other things, I'll show you there's a combo with Chris that really helps. Everybody knows who Fate Defying Ryu is. Veteran Agent Leon does random damage to enemies on the field, how many actions you used. Wall Jump, just a shield. Doll's Memory, at 7 memory, get +4/+4. Before 7 memory, it's +4/-4. You can use it to remove units, buff your own units, keep units alive. It's just a good buff card or removal card. Bombast is a new unit. Add a unit card with an MP cost of 5 or less from your deck to your EX pocket, and if that unit is a human, it gets -2 MP. So it makes your units cheaper. You're able to pump units out quickly using this card and pull humans in. So if you get a full hand of almost actions, but you have a Bombast, you can at least get 1 unit to play out. The new 3 MP Karen, she's a human. When a friendly human unit is placed on the field, she gains shield. I run her at 2. you don't need her anymore. You could even remove her if you wanted to. She's not necessary, but in this version I like her as a lane blocker. You drop her and you drop her in somebody that's been dive bombed, and you could drop her, drop someone right after you drop her, shield and protect it, things like that. The legendary Karen, because she's the only seal in this deck, and she has agility. And the last new unit is Unwavering Justice Chris. He's a legendary. When played, place a human unit with an MP cost of 3 or less from your deck onto the field. And as human units are placed on the field, Chris gets +1/+1. So there's a combo here. If you have Lady up, you have Lady on the field, and you're like, hey, I got Chris down there, I'm going to drop him, and he pulls out Cody. So Lady's going to do 12 damage basically. Or you're going to get 12 damage on the field. You're going to get 8 from Lady for dropping Cody and Chris, and then Cody does his 4. Josh, you get 10 damage, things like that. So that's the combos I was thinking of when I built this. But yeah, that's the deck. And like I said, it's a lot more actions than you would think you would see in a Choral Orchestra deck, but it works really well. It's really aggressive. This deck is fast. Most of the games you play are very, very fast, and it's very, very fun. So let's hop over to some videos of gameplay, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, see you in a bit. Okay, so the first game here is against Gaia Armor X. It could be an interesting build. I've seen people like Iowa build him with the 3 Shara Valda, and it's very strong. So I keep the opening hand because I have a 6 cost Leon, and so that way I can bring him out. I have some actions, so I can start spamming him out. So Lady is always going to be in this deck. She's always like a seal target. So if I don't want specific units sealed, I will always throw Lady out because she's still a good force on the field. And as you can see, I'm just cycling through actions at this point to charge up things like Leon, get my AP up so I can Choral Orchestra to have Leon ready to drop. Also to charge up things like Cody. So if I get a Chris and he comes from the graveyard, I get a nice Cody. I'm not going to waste time with this. In this deck, I am hard remove. Like when a threat comes up, it's removed no matter what. If I give the opponent 8 HP, I don't care. I'm removing units. That's just the way this deck is designed. But here's me just trying to chip. He does have an advantage. He has agility. He now has Gaia armor. I cannot really do much, but I could seal the Kushala, and I'm getting trade damage here. I'm getting my butt kicked at this moment, but this deck does have a lot of survivability, and it's very quick. You'll notice a lot of these games are over within a couple minutes. But I'm just trying to keep a unit on the field at this point. So I shield Cody. And I was just kind of waiting on the timing there to hopefully so he didn't shield the Iris or the layer and go from there. And now is when I'm starting to chip, and I'm just holding on to this Leon because I know he's going to be my big damage to finish this. So I decided to get a couple more actions in, pull in a Bombast if I need it, and I buff that Cody to finish it, and he drops a Shara, and I had 10 actions at that point, and that ended the game very, very quickly. Shara was gone, and then Cody got the damage in. The next game is against Charge Shot. It's kind of a dead deck, but you still might see some variation builds. I decided to keep this hand to keep the aggro with BB Hood. She wants to be my first drop. He happens to drop a feline in the exact same lane, but as soon as I'm able to, I drop Karen so I can buff BB, and I decided I need to keep her alive. We're going to shield. We're going to trade some actions here. I come out on top. I get lucky to come out on top of that. But now I'm going to start. I have my actions built up to use Inborn to extra MP, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm trying to avoid Shara's ability, or not Shara's, Kushala's ability for at least a second. And there's how I use Josh. He does a little bit of chip damage, gives me some room, but he does use the shield and the +3. Luckily that hits Karen because she can stay alive. Again, I'm just trying to cycle actions, get that agent's memory ready because I'm going to hit this guy hard as soon as I can. I don't want him to set up with Kushala because that's game over for me. He has the 2 health regens. And he goes to shield to protect him, and that gives me the opportunity to basically remove it with Agent's Memory. Again, this deck is not about preserving legendaries or preserving them for endgame. It's about taking the advantage when you can to create more opportunities later with the aggro. As you can see, when this deck gets set up, it runs. And there goes the charge shot. So our next game is against Ouroboros. This is a mono black Ouroboros. It's going to be popular just because the way it cycles now. So I didn't like that hand too many units for me, and I got even worse hand. But I could cycle through some actions here using the Chain of Fist. I could just cycle through them real quick. And if I have to drop Josh, I have to drop Josh. His ability is not the greatest. Again, he helps with the +2 the 2 damage to the board, but you know what? I have to drop him. I have to start cycling. I get a Bombast, so I could at least try to get a better unit, but I'm going to move Josh out of the way. I don't want to lose him on the field, and I want to be able to use actions to get Cody going. But he basically destroys him, which is fine. I got another one in the trade, and I've now used enough actions to get Cody going. So if I need to, I could drop Cody in a pinch. So, and right here I drop Cody, and I drop Josh, and there's going to go Devil Joe. But I shield just to keep Cody alive, because again, I want to keep that board presence with this deck. I don't know why he selfished there, but I get an opportunity to move Josh, gain some MP in the process. I want to make sure Ryu's available right away, so that's why I used the Coral there. And it also made Chris a 4, and Karen became a 2. And I wasn't going to have that Sigma action, so I dropped Karen. But he somehow gets both Sigmas back. It was just dumb luck that he gets the one with Rebirth. But I'm just charging here, and I'm going to take a hit so I can use Ryu at that point. And then it's just on from here because of the aggro. As you can see, there's a lot of speed in this deck. There's a lot of cycling. And again, you just don't worry about wasting legendaries. Use them if you have to. Remove something on the field that's a threat. This is the game that actually got me into Champion. It's against Human Shinku. I think it's Human Shinku. But it is against the Shinku deck, which is, they're very popular again with this new tribe archetype. They're very strong. So with Shinku, especially human-based, you need to remove those 5 MP units as quick, 5 or more MPs as quick as possible, because that powers Sheva, and it's just bad if Sheva's on the field. He's dropped 2 of them right off the bat. I'm like, I'm frustrated. But I need something on the field to use Josh. I don't have enough actions used to use Cody yet. So that's why I used the shield on BB. And there we go. I need to get this his BB hood off the field. And Josh is going to help me with that. See how he chips. And we're able to chip. And we're just chipping. Now he doesn't have those 5 MPs, but he has a Magma Dragoon in this deck. But, you know, we're going to get through this, because I'm going to drop another Cody, and we're going to remove him. And he's going to keep fighting. So that's the thing with these Shinku decks, is they are able to maintain such a positive presence on the field. It's almost crazy that how they're able to power the field. I dropped a Karen there just because I needed the AP to get going. And I'm just going to move her out of the way at the last second using Inborn Powers, and I'm going to get the win. Again, quick games. These games are very, very quick. Raging Demon is going to be another problem for this deck. If you don't play, you have to play against Raging Demon very well. It has good removal no matter what, because of the ability, and the Ascend units are very good. So this is like a hand. I had 2 BBs in hand, but I want to get her +1, especially against Raging Demon. So I'm trying to hold on as long as I can to drop units so that she can avoid things like spikes and stuff like that. I'm going to try to cycle some actions here, just in case I pull a Cody. He's ready. I'm hoping to get him ready to go. as you can see, this is an action-heavy deck. I could get stuck with actions. But again, here's the thing. At the last second, you can move units. But he's very good on the drop and drops it right in front. There's no need for me to use Choral Orchestra yet, so I'm holding on to it. I don't want to get stuck where I have a 6 MP unit in hand and I cannot use Choral Orchestra, because that would really screw up the game. I don't want him to heal. That's the big thing with Raging Demon, is if they can heal up. So I pulled a Ryu, so I'm like, yes, let's use that Choral, let's get going. As you can see, I'm cycling actions. I'm just trying to gain an advantage somewhere in this situation. And this is the thing with Raging Demon. Now my field's almost empty and I have to chip. But he's leaving my Karen alone down there, which is fine. But I'm charging to drop Ryu and end that game. And this last game is a game of survival. This is a meme true power. It's the Dumbledore deck. I don't think it's going to be much meme anymore. It's able to run now a lot more efficiently that it's turned from an action meta back to a unit meta. Especially if they get a high roll like this guy does. So he gets to shift things to the graveyard. He gets rebirth right off the bat. I'm trying to go aggro as quick as I can to do as much damage as I can so before he can remove my units. But it's going to be hard, and I need to charge up. So I know things are going to get crazy. This is going to be a rough game at this point. He's already got his high roll going. But I'm like, okay, I could survive one. And I'm just going to put Karen there. She can't die, but he's going to get the 12, which she'll be removed anyways. But then he does this. He uses Bolt Reaver. So now I have to respond to this. Otherwise, this is going to be endgame. So it's a 4/11 with flight and agility. And it could remove my units from the field. I have Cody's charged up, so I'm trying to charge him as quick as I can. I see I have a Leon. If I have to drop him, I have to drop him. He removes him, and then I decide to use a Bombast for free. And I did get a Cody, so it means I can remove this Dumbledore from the field. So I could at least hope he doesn't have anything. But then he drops a Cammy, and I'm like, I'm going to have to cycle actions. I'm going to have to get through this somehow. So I'm just holding on. I'm holding on until I can get Leon, and I dropped him. And then I'm like, he's going to bring something back. He's going to bring them both back. I'm going to just shield Leon to block at least one hit. And gone. So it's not looking good. I was hoping to hit Cammy there, and I didn't do it. I hit the Dumbledore, so I'm like, I don't have to worry about him in the bottom lane. I have to get something in front of that Cammy to block her and activate Choral Orchestra to get going. He rebirths Cammy. Or not rebirths. He mouses Cammy, so he's got another one that can chip. But luckily Josh hit her and not Dumbledore, because that would have ended it for me right there. I've used enough actions at this point, so I'm deciding I'm going to buff Cammy and try to get some hits in. Or BB Hood, and get some hits in. And I'm trying to hit it for 16, and he puts a shield up. And here it comes. He's going to Malice and remove. So at this point, it's 116. He's going to bring back units from the grave. Another Dumbledore. So I just have to somehow keep chipping at him and remove them from the field and keep myself alive in the process. And he's going to make it so I have to make a choice here. So I have an Inborn Powers. I know Cody is going to hit first at this point, so I know I have to switch him out of the lane and drop somebody in the lane immediately to block this attack. And I actually get it off with a Karen. And so I'm hoping he goes bottom lane. He goes top lane, of course. So I drop the BB in the bottom lane just to protect myself. And I have Ryu at 3. This is what saved me. He's got nothing left. So there's that. So this deck also can survive if you play it right. But yeah, so that's the game. That's some of the games I've played. Again, they're very quick, very fun. Let's move over and look at some hands and how they work, okay? Okay, so let's take a look at hands. I know I see a lot on the Discord and Reddit and even on Twitter people asking, how could I be better with this specific deck? I think a lot of it can come down to how you play your opening hand. If you mulligan, if you don't mulligan, what to look for and where to go from there. So let's take a look at all the games I recorded or I showed in the video, and let's kind of break down the opening hands and how that helped me be successful. So against the Gaia armor, I know Shara is probably going to be his main tool, so I want to keep Leon on board, and hopefully I can get enough actions that I'm able to have him be a 10 and drop it immediately and hopefully remove him. I keep the 2 actions in hand because you can start cycling. You can cycle, again, you can use Chain of Fists without even having anything opposing on the field. And then you can use Inborn Power on any unit on the field, on my side of the field, so I can rotate them around. I could use it almost as I drop them or in response to something he's doing. I kept Lady because she is powerful, and she's a seal target. That's fine. I hope he wastes seals on her, actually, because I don't want him to seal things like BB Hood or Karen or things like that. And then Karen, so I'm able to basically proc her ability to be a shield unit and also have Lady's ability go off. Let's take a look at the next one. And it's going to be the charge shot, and I never realized it's the same cost now. It's Gaia armor, but so I kept this hand because 1, charge shot, you're going to need to be aggro. You don't want him to get set up in any sort of way, so I kept it for the BB Hood. I have 3 actions I can use, and I could also shield with Karen if I have to, but she's enough that she can proc BB Hood's ability pretty quickly, not as quickly as I would like, but at least get her up there to start doing some damage. Let's take a look at a hand I mulliganed. In all honesty, this looks like a great hand. You have Legendary Chris, which you can drop right off the bat. You have Leon, which you can drop once you get Core Orchestra. And you have Josh and Cody, who can help you do damage. But I mulliganed it, and why? Because this hand's not going to be beneficial to me at all. I could drop Chris and pull a Cody and get nothing in return. I can't drop Cody. I can drop Cody before I get 4 actions, but I prefer to have 4 actions so he can use his ability to do the field. And Josh, yeah, he's kind of a naysay here or there, but I would like him to be able to proc his ability as well if I can, and I only have 1 action in hand. So I mulligan, and I get what I feel is a much better hand. I get Ryu in hand, I get 3 actions, and I get Josh. And like what happened in the game, I ended up having to cycle through. I still had to burn Josh, but I was able to work out of it. It's a much more beneficial hand because then when Cody comes on board, say I drop a Chris, Cody comes from the deck and does 4 damage. It just works a lot better. So, like I said, the first hand wasn't beneficial to me against a deck like Ouroboros, which is going to need high damage off my units to be able to keep me in the game. So again, Shinku Human, very similar hand, but the only difference is I have Bombast instead of Ryu, which is amazing because I could use Bombast immediately right off the bat, get a unit in the X pocket, hopefully it's super cheap, 3 or less, because then I can drop that and Josh almost immediately after to do damage to keep the field going. I could cycle the actions. If I have to use State of Nothingness, I have to use State of Nothingness. Again, this deck is not about saving cards for an endgame later. It's about using it to your advantage when you can get it. So that's very advantageous for me. And against Nero. Again, this hand looks very good. But against True Power Nero, you need to be aggro, and I was hoping to get Karen on that just to seal something if it came out. But, so like I said, I had no advantage in this hand. The Codys are useless. Chris is useless if he's pulling a Cody. If he pulls a Karen, that's fine. But, and then you drop BB and you don't really have an advantage of getting her buffed up to do some damage. And then same with Lady. It's just a useless hand. Got a much better hand in return. I could be aggro with BB. I could use Bombast and to get maybe even pull a Josh or a Karen, and or the 3 MP Karen, they'd be a 1 MP unit, so I could wait till 5, drop BB, then them. It's a 2, plus the advantage of having another unit on the field. I have actions I can cycle, and I have stuff to get going. Yeah, but that's it, guys. That is the deck. That's how it works. I'll put the QR code again at the end right now. just for a quick couple seconds if you need it again. Again, this deck is very, very aggro. I'm calling it the Aggro Orchestra. It's very quick, very fast. Most games last less than 3 or 4 minutes. The only one that didn't last that long was this Dolmadur game. But yeah, so this is me trying to start that new format of at least going over some starting hands. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, check out the QR code, be ready for more videos. I'm going to try to pump out at least 2 or 3 more this month because next month my second kid is due. So I won't be able to probably post, I'll maybe be able to do 1 video next month or next season. So yeah, take care guys, have a good evening, have a good day, have a good weekend. Just enjoy yourself and enjoy the game.